Catie, first of all, thanks very much for your time. Glenn and I are excited. A lot to chat with you about. Wanted to start off with going backwards just a little bit. What attracted you to this job? I know you were interested in moving across country, but what attracted you to this job?
To be honest, I wasn't looking to move. We were having a great experience in Seattle. My family's back east, and I do have two kids, so the idea of coming back east was something that my parents in particular were very supportive of, but we really weren't looking to make a move. This was something where it was such an incredible opportunity that honestly, I felt I had no choice. I mean, there really aren't that many opportunities to come work for an incredible ownership group who has a brand new vision for how you can move forward in one of the icons of baseball. I mean, this is an incredible ballpark, and we have the opportunity to make investments to ensure that it's as incredible 30 years from now as it is today. And so when you put all of those things together, that's a true once in a lifetime opportunity, and we were excited to be asked to embark on that.
All right. Tell me a little bit about what last off season was like once you took the position and you hit the ground running, but you had so many things to accomplish, so many positions to fill. What was that like?
I think it's interesting. When I had the privilege of starting last August, so I was here on the ground almost exactly a year ago, and really got to spend the end of the season sort of getting to know our ballpark, getting to spend time with our fans, getting to spend time in the city, getting to know our staff, and trying to figure out what are the things that we double down on, what are the things that we tweak, and what are the things that require more substantive change. And as part of that, we got through the end of the season, because you really don't want to be making material changes at that point in the season, identified the places where we felt we needed some different approaches. And to your point, then over the off season, it really was an opportunity to get to work. I really believe that people are the core of businesses. I mean, whether it's the people we serve in our community or the people who work inside this organization to make everything possible. So it really was understanding what were we looking for, what were the types of people, backgrounds, and experiences that were going to help us get there, and then to your point, spending a lot of time and energy on that while simultaneously supporting the team here and working to set some new goals for what success could look like off the field for the business side. So taking steps in that direction. So it's been a busy, busy year. And then when you look at a lot of the things we do, they have long lead times. So we obviously have the opportunity to take our first major steps forward from a ballpark renovation project this coming off season. Those conversations have been going since roughly last September.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of work that goes on where you have long lead times both from a procurement and planning standpoint. So that was another major work stream that was going on. So to make sure we have the ability to pull that all off this upcoming off season, a lot of that work really has been in the works for almost a year.
One personal question before I put Glenn on to you for a couple questions. I'm really proud of Mark Fine. He was an intern of mine 30 years ago. I wanted to reach out to you and try and put a good word in for him, but I didn't know you well enough that it would have meant anything, and it might not even if you knew me better. What attracted you to Mark Fine to be your chief marketing officer?
First and foremost, he's very good at what he does.
Yeah.
But on top of that, I think it's not only what you do, but it's who you are. Mark is someone who is passionate about Baltimore and this community. He's grew up here. This was his team. This was not a job for Mark. This was the job. It's a true sense of personal purpose and passion behind it that I think is something you very much is a positive in someone who's looking for a role. But on top of that, the way in which he approaches people. Like, he is an empathetic leader. He is someone who very much wants to do great things, but wants to do that with people versus through people. And one of the big opportunities we view here in Baltimore is to make sure that we're continuing to make sure that Camden Yards is a place where everyone not only feels welcome, which is something that I like to say we do today, but really being more proactive of making sure that everyone in this community feels wanted. And I think historically, if you look at the ways in which we've engaged, particularly out in the community, we've been very present in some areas and less present in others. And Mark shared my vision for making sure that when we think about Baltimore, we're really thinking about all of Baltimore and ensuring that this is the team everyone can be proud of and feel a part of.
Kate, I want to follow up on a couple of things you said, because you referenced the outreach to various groups. And obviously we know you guys do Pride Night and Jewish Heritage and Christian Faith Nights.
Yep.
And I've asked this of other executives before. Inevitably, when you do these things, there is pushback. Someone doesn't like it. How do you, as a leader, how do you as an organization handle that pushback that you get?
I think it's pretty easy for me, and maybe it shouldn't be, but ultimately, I believe in doing the right thing. And we are an organization that is here to serve all of our fans. This is about creating a space where everyone feels wanted and included. This is not about excluding anyone. So I think to the extent there are people who have concerns, my hope is if they came and participated, they would see that this is not this group is better than, this group is celebrated, this group is not. It really is about creating opportunities to showcase the diversity of people we have here in our city and in our region, and celebrate them and make sure they can see themselves as part of this club versus creating an environment where anyone feels that they are excluded or otherized. So for me, I sincerely hope that everyone comes to the ballpark and feels welcome, but ultimately our job, and I view it as my job, is to continue to make sure that we're showing up to support the people who are supporting us.
You reference, obviously, the renovations. I know much has been made about what is to come. Can you lay out for us, by this time next year, what will we have already seen? What is the timeline for tangibly what this will look like in the coming years?
Yeah, no, the crazy part is it's not even this time next year. It's by opening day 2026. One of the unique things about doing construction in a venue like this is it really does have to work around our baseball season. So as soon as our season ends, literally less than 12 hours later, you're going to see people in the ballpark. If you come to the ballpark today, you can already see a few things underway. So we took advantage of the All-Star break to remove some seating right under the video board, where we will be installing a brand new, much larger, clearer video board looking ahead. But to do that, it's heavier. So we needed to do structural reinforcements, and that was work that takes a little bit of time. So we've been working to get ahead of that. So that's something that even if you came to the ballpark today, you'd see. A lot of the work has been going on behind the scenes in terms of making sure we're all ready for construction to begin. So that work's happening. There'll be a little bit more of that. That will become more visible as sort of we get into September, but nothing that would disrupt the fan experience in any way. But by the time you show up on opening day, it really is going to be something where there will be a number of new spaces inside the ballparks. We've already talked about the new video board in center field. There will also be new ribbon boards around that club level fascia, a new out-of-town scoreboard. So we really have the ability to bring the entire venue to life in a way that we can't today around key moments. We've talked a lot about the premium club space. So we're going to be shifting the press box just slightly down the third base line and utilizing that space right behind home plate to create a space that almost every other ballpark has at this juncture, but we haven't here, which really is an opportunity for hospitality for businesses or guests who are looking to have more of that restaurant-style meal inside with indoor-outdoor access to their seats. So that will be in place. Our club level is a very large space, actually, on the interior if you walk around it. And one of the challenges with it today is if you are not one of our suite guests, if you're inside, you've lost sight of what makes this place so special. We wanted to address that because we recognize for a variety of reasons, whether it's weather, kids, just general life, fans are going to want to go inside and outside. So we're going to be actually removing a handful of suites and creating glassed-in bars where you've got a view of the field from the first base side and from the third base side. Again, looking to create more experiences for our fans because ultimately, no different than the question you asked a moment ago about the different groups that we try to welcome and encourage to come here. We want to make sure they're experiences for our fans that they want to have. And the one thing I know for sure is those experiences vary wildly, so it's our job to create a ballpark where fans can find that experience that's best for them. Another space we haven't talked as much about, but I'm really excited about is the space underneath that scoreboard of really having an opportunity to have an open space where groups can come together, and then on days when groups aren't there, have all of our fans have a really incredible view straight out from that center field space looking down towards home field, home plate. So there's a lot of work to be going on behind the scenes, and then there's all the fun, sexy stuff like painting structural steel and new cabling to ensure that the ballpark continues to be a safe and high-functioning space.
Can I ask the sound upgrades?
Sound upgrades, yes.
The timing?
Timing of that will be opening day as well. So
Okay.
in addition to the video boards I talked about, so there will be new speaker systems throughout the ballpark. So what that means, we mentioned we were going to do what I called a temporary fix for the season. What that temporary fix was actually putting in giant speaker columns that are projecting out. So they're all projecting from center field out to our fans. That, again, It's better than what we had, but that's not a long-term solution. So we're putting in new speaker systems and new bass all around the ballpark so you have more consistent sound regardless of where you are. So that'll be put into place. And another thing that I'm really excited about is IPTVs throughout the concourses. That allows us to have the ability to engage with fans in a more meaningful way, have more television throughout the concourses, digital menu boards, so we have the ability to make changes and have more specials than we have today, and also have the ability to use some of that signage for wayfinding. So at the end of a game at this point, if you're walking through the concourse, you may see a man or a woman standing, sort of an exit here sign, helping our fans find their way to the different points of exit. We'll be able to use more video screens for that as well. So just, again, trying to find those opportunities to make sure our fans are connected to the game, regardless of where they are in the ballpark.
Your footprint at this ballpark, outside the actual stadium, isn't very big. And your predecessors, the John Angelos, was trying to work a deal, to get parts of the property around here. Where do you see that eventually leading? And is it possible it's not going to be on the stadium itself on that property, that it could be outside the stadium, that the ball club gets involved in redeveloping something?
I think it's important to us that our fans have a safe and welcoming experience, and we recognize that their experience getting to Camden Yards, it doesn't just start the moment they come through our gates. And so, as with anything, we don't have anything specific to report at this time, but we're very much interested in collaborating with others around our community on ways in which, both inside the ballpark, immediately on the perimeter, and perhaps even further out, we can be a part of creating a space that more Baltimoreans and more folks that can, more fans from wherever they are, want to come, want to spend their time on game days and beyond.
Okay.
Can I just, because we know there was the report from the Banner about what you're saying is that's not done, that
It's not done. No, ultimately, again, sort of to your very initial question about last offseason, I believe in biting off pretty big pieces, but I also believe in successfully executing.
Okay.
And when we looked at our priorities, our immediate priority was making sure that we took advantage of creating a space here in Camden Yards where we can present new opportunities to our fans. That's been the primary focus for the last year. But again, that's more a matter of timing and bandwidth than anything else.
You've been around for about a little over a year. You're aware of some of the issues that faces Baltimore, and most importantly, what happened around 2015 with the riots nearby. Do you feel that this ballpark is where it needs to be in terms of how welcoming it is to people and how safe they feel coming here right now?
I believe this ballpark is where it needs to be, period. Being in the middle of our city, I mean, this is a place where everyone can come together. There's good access to it. From a safety standpoint, I know a lot of strides have been made. We work very closely with both city and others to make sure that when fans are here, they have a safe place and a safe experience. Again, not just inside the ballpark, but getting here as well. We also recognize that concerns continue to exist. And having worked at a urban ballpark in Seattle and an urban stadium in Atlanta, I'll tell you these are not uniquely Baltimorean challenges. But ultimately for us, I do believe that being in the city and being at the heart of everything we do, we wear Baltimore across our chest proudly. And for us, being in the city is the right place to be. But we need to continue to make sure we're partnering with public and private agencies to ensure that all of our fans are and feel safe. And those can sometimes be two different things.
Recently, you all unveiled the changes to Birdline membership plans. I think that in asking whether it's for a larger purchase, number of tickets that are purchased, or slight increases in ticket prices, I would think the fan base would want to know, if we are going to invest more, can we expect that the team will be investing more in what it is that we see?
Yeah, I think the short answer is yes, and that's not just a statement of today. I mean, if you look at the start of this season, payroll is up dramatically year over year, and obviously just a couple of days ago, we had the remarkable privilege of getting to announce a long-term extension with Sam Obasayo. So our ownership is making sure, like, this year has not played out the way that we all hoped. I don't think there's any sugarcoating that. But that's an opportunity for us to look, learn, figure out what are those things that we believe are going to be required looking forward to bring winning baseball back to Baltimore, and making those investments where needed. I mean, ultimately, We want to have a winning franchise off the field and on the field. And again, I think they have and will continue to make those investments to ensure we get there.
Making the announcement, did you all at all think about, like, maybe this isn't the time? Maybe given the record of the team, it's not, it's a tough ask? Or was it already committed and we are confident that we're in the right direction, that the fans will understand that?
I wouldn't say it was already committed. I mean, we're not naive, right?
Yeah.
We certainly are aware that this was going to be something where people would say exactly what you just said. I will tell you that generally speaking with change, there's no good time.
Sure.
Right? If you make a change when things aren't great, clearly you're tone deaf, but if you make a change when things are good, you're being greedy. Ultimately, we're making changes because we believe they're going to help us be stronger and, frankly, have the ability to give our fans more of what they want. Right? We're good. Yes, we changed our 13 to a 20 game. Yes, we changed our 29 to a 40, but we also introduced a 10 game pack. We also introduced a number of different benefits we've had fans clamoring for years. We also are going to have the opportunity for the first time for there to be a fair and transparent path for all of our fans to, if they want to, relocate to different seats. Not relocate to more expensive seats unless they want to, but relocate, hey, you've been in row 14 in the middle of the row for the last couple of years, but there's seats in row 13 on the actual aisle. You've been a member for the last 10 years. You have the first opportunity to look and say, if you want to make that change, you can. We haven't had the ability to be transparent with our fans. We haven't had the ability to have direct conversations about what things cost and who gets what and why. And again, change is hard. We're not naive to that. But ultimately, our goal is to make sure that all of our fans can find what they want and that we're creating, whether it's packages or benefits or locations, our job is to help all of our fans find the thing that's best for them.
Catie, are you confident? You play 13 and a half weeks at home, roughly, and 3 or 4 of those nights per week are weeknight games, Monday through Thursday. Every Friday through Sunday, the ballpark is 30,000 plus. But those nights, Monday through Thursday, are you confident that Baltimore will come out and support the team the way it did before there was a team in Washington?
I can't speak to that because I wasn't here. What I can say is we have incredible fans here in Baltimore. I believe we're going to have an incredible product to put on the field next year. I know we have an incredible stadium, right? When you look at all those things, baseball's a lot of games. That's no news to anyone. You're right. Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays for a lot of people, those are the nights that are just easier for them to get out. But ultimately, in my experience, if you're putting a high quality product out there, you're creating experiences that people want, and you're pricing them appropriately. And because let's be real, a price for a Tuesday night game is generally not the same as a price for a Saturday evening game or a Saturday afternoon game. That ultimately, fans are come. Right? Will it be the same as it was before? Again, I don't know. I wasn't here. I can't make an intelligent statement on that. But I believe we have fantastic fans, and I believe it's our job to make sure that they see a reason that they should be here, whether it's a Tuesday night or a Saturday.
This is not an Oriole question, so to speak, but do you think fans now are conditioned to want to come to the ballpark to get something beyond the game itself? In other words, that they'll come out when there's a Hawaiian T-shirt, a Hawaiian shirt night,
People do
or a
like white
straw
shirts.
hat. Yeah, I mean, you should have 7 or 8 Hawaiian shirt nights. But do enough people just accept coming to the game?
I think the short version is, if there's something that resonates with you and it's part of the experience, that's icing on the cake. But ultimately, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, which is those different experiences. The thing I love most about ball games is this is a place you create memories, right? When you think about your first time at a ballpark, it was probably not, hey, I went to a ballpark by myself and got a bobblehead. It was I was there with my mom, my dad, my grandparents, my Boy Scout shirt, my church group, my synagogue. Like, it's whatever your group of people was. Like, baseball's a place where people can come together and create memories. And sometimes those memories are premised on what's happening on the field. Sometimes it's based around a giveaway. But ultimately, our job is to create enough opportunities where, yes, the giveaways are nice, but as I mentioned, they're the icing on the cake, and the cake is pretty darn good with or without the icing.
Catie, I wonder, we've heard a lot about the future of TV rights in Major League Baseball. We know that there are a few teams whose rights are now being handled by Major League Baseball or in this new ESPN deal. A lot has been made about 2028, and that maybe being a time where perhaps we see more of that. Would it be best for baseball? Would it be best for the Orioles if TV rights were nationalized, were handled by Major League Baseball, and perhaps that created more of a revenue share?
I think it will be best for fans when fans are able to watch the games they want, when and how they want to. It's something I can't. So again, whether that's centralized, whether that continues to be local, I think there's a lot of conversation that I'm sure will happen between now and 2028. To your point, our goal is to make sure our fans can watch Orioles games, and from a Masson standpoint, it's to make sure that Nationals fans can watch Nationals games. And so it's one of the reasons that as soon as we had the ability to do so, we launched a direct-to-consumer platform to ensure that, again, we recognize for many of our fans are still watching through their cable or satellite provider, and that's fantastic. But there's some fans for whom that's not their reality, and we need to make sure our fans can watch our games, full stop, because we know that even though we do play a lot of baseball games, for most fans, they aren't going to be at the ballpark 81 times a year, and they certainly aren't going to be at all 81 road games. So for all of our fans to have the opportunity to easily watch our games and fall in love with the incredible athletes that we have and fall in love with Orioles baseball, they need to be able to see it. And so that remains our priority.
We talk about some of the big crowds that you all get, and typically some of those rivalry games against the Yankees, the Red Sox have driven some of those biggest crowds. A lot has been made about realignment in recent weeks, and at one point there was something floated out by baseball years ago that would have the Orioles moving out of a division with those teams. Is it important that if realignment comes, that the Orioles continue to be with those traditional AL East rivalries?
I think it's going to be important to see what MLB is thinking if that's a path they do in fact go down, because ultimately, presumably, if you're making changes, it's because you're making changes that you believe are in the best interest of the game and are in the best interest of the fans. So I don't want to presuppose what those would look like, but you're exactly right. I mean, we play in the AL East. The AL East is the best division in baseball, and I would argue one of the best divisions, if not the best division in sports. And so for us having the opportunity to play teams like the Red Sox and like the Yankees as many times as we do is great, although sometimes challenging.
Sure.
But again, I don't want to presuppose what would transpire if they were to make changes, because I think that in that world it would be a lot of different considerations at play that I haven't had the ability to think through yet.
You alluded to the fact that 2025 has been a disappointment in a lot of ways. But the business side of sports doesn't have the ability like June 1st or June 15th to say, we're not going to make it this year. So, we'll just hang in there. What did that give you the opportunity to try this year from a business standpoint?
Well, I'll tell you that, any of the players, if you talk to them, they play every game to win. And so you're right, the season hasn't played out, but I don't think there's anyone on or off the field who would say, we got to June or July and we're like, we're just going to sort of wing it from here. On our side, it really isn't tied to what's happening on the field in terms of our desire to improve. And ultimately for us, we are trying new things. We are gathering fan reactions. Some of them work. To be honest, some of them don't, and that's equally valuable to learn. One of the things that we've actually recently done, we've hired a young man from the Houston Astros who's going to be leading our game day presentation. And something that he's done, and he did in Houston as well, that I believe is a really successful approach, is not only going and listening to our fans and understanding what do our fans here in Baltimore want, but also spending time with our athletes. Because if you think about it, there is very few people who watch more baseball than the baseball players themselves, and they see the best and some of the worst practices from stadiums all around the country. So for us, it really is about continuing to try things. I believe in failing fast, failing small, and failing once, right? Try new things, see what works, but ultimately our goal, particularly when we have a new audiovisual canvas to play with next year, is to be here in a place where our players are excited about it and our fans are excited about it. But ultimately, I expect you'll continue to see changes because we want to make sure that we're doing the things that are most engaging, and we'll try some stuff, and if it doesn't work, we'll try others.
How important is it to you personally that the club, the fans sense that there's touch between them and the team?
It's really important. I mean, we wouldn't exist if it weren't for our fans, right? I've talked about this with our players. Like, as amazing as they all are, and they are, if you watch a baseball game and there's no one in the crowd, like, it's a different energy if you think, but unfortunately for all of us, you can just look back to the COVID period to actually literally have an opportunity to see that. It's different when you think about what makes an incredible game, especially from a fan standpoint. Yes, there's probably an amazing play, a fantastic win, but it's the energy of the crowd. It's the anticipation. It's giving your neighbor a high five, right? It's those moments where people are coming together that ultimately matter. And so our job is to have those connections. I will tell you, over the last several weeks in particular, I've responded to many, 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 many personal emails. I've responded to a lot of phone calls, speaking to our fans and hearing from them directly. Because as much as we love to hear from our fans when they're happy and they love things, we always are looking to get better. We're always looking to learn from them. And so if we're hearing things from them and they're less happy, we want to know, because that gives us an opportunity to continue to get better, or at the very least have a conversation about why certain things are the way that they are. And so that personal touch point is absolutely critical, and that's something that spans from, I'm generally wandering the ballpark every single day, and so literally engaging with fans probably about 81 times a year there, as well as all of the members of my staff who are in the stands, on the phones, and also just members of this community who are proud to call Baltimore home.
Catie, you referenced the premium club. A lot of fans would say that's not going to be for me, right? I'm not of those economic means. Is there still room with the Orioles for fans from any economic background to be a part of this, to experience the Orioles that way?
Of course there is. I think that's something where we're most proud of it. There was a reason that one of the very few large-scale changes we were able to introduce this year, there was a reason the value menu was that thing. We pushed that one through very, very quickly, because I am a strong believer that we want to make sure that all of our fans feel welcome. We have very low cost entry points from a ticketing standpoint. They probably aren't the ones buying season tickets, but that's okay. We want them to come whenever they can, whenever it makes sense for them and their families, and whenever the price point works for them. But I talk a lot. It's like, you can bring a family of 4, have tickets for less than $15, have a beverage and have a hot dog for $8. You're out of here for less than $100 for a family of 4. And that's with a drink, with a hot dog, and with a ticket. You can't even go to a movie theater for that. And so for us, again, yes, we are making investments in spaces that we believe there are going to be some business and higher net worth people who that is something they're happy with. Great. We have 43,000 other seats in the ballpark, many, many of which are accessible at price points that hopefully are within reach for the vast majority of fans, should this be something that they're interested in doing.
And you referenced the changes to game day, and I know that's been a hot button issue for a lot of people this year. Are the changes intended for the fans that are here, or are they going to be intended for people that wouldn't be coming to baseball games that you're trying to get into the stadium moving forward?
Both. They're for both. I mean, ultimately, the fun and challenge of running a stadium like this and getting to be part of presenting something is, we have hopefully 40,000+ fans in the building, all of whom want something slightly different, right? So our job is to make sure, again, for fans who are here, who are keeping score in their seats, we want to make sure we're providing them with access to the stats and information that are going to be really most compelling to them. They have the ability to look at those replays, see the strike calls, things along those lines. For fans who are looking at us from the standpoint of maybe they don't know baseball yet, we want the opportunity for them to learn and have exposure. And for fans who have little kids who perhaps are slightly more distractible, we have the hot dog race, right? So you want to make sure you're creating things that are engaging with fans and meeting them where they're at, versus just assuming there's a one-size-fits-all, because our fans aren't one-size-fits-all.
Catie, thank you very much for your time.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for coming out. I appreciate it.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.